everyone, and welcome back to Girl Inside, a podcast all about just thinking real deep about existence because you're doing nothing else all day. And that's all I've been doing. I'm your host, Hannah Darkling, and this is my self-isolation podcast. We've all started one, and if you haven't, you're doing it to yourself in the shower or when you're in bed alone because you're not talking to anyone else, so of course you're talking to yourself. I've just decided to record my thoughts. Hopefully they're entertaining for you. They certainly get me through the day, you know? Sometimes you just gotta go a little bit mad just to get through. So I have planned nothing to discuss today. Basically, I've just been feeling really cabin fevery. It is a gorgeous day outside though, and when I say gorgeous, I mean it's raining and it's wet and it's grey and it's mid-afternoon and it looks like the sun's going down because it's dark, and those are my favourite days. I don't know why, but I'm stuck inside anyway, so it kind of feels good to have an excuse to be like, cozy, like put on a jumper and sit under a blanket and like hygge lifestyle and all that stuff. So hygge is a Danish word which means the art of well-being, coziness and contentment, if you didn't know. And it's something that I have on my wall, and it's something that I aspire to. Just like be happy and cozy, hopefully sitting next to a fireplace. I bloody love fireplaces also. But that's what I mean. It's a beautiful day, so I'm feeling good. It's a rainy day. Those are my favorite types of days. So I'm in a positive mood, even though the past, I hope you just heard my shoulder crack, mate, because that was a lot for me to live with. Happens on the daily, on the hourly. I've basically been very depressed for 10 days. So I recorded another one of these podcasts about a week and a half ago, maybe slightly longer, 11, 12 days maybe ago, and just didn't edit it, couldn't be bothered to engage with my own face or voice, and then felt really bad about myself because I hadn't done anything quote unquote productive, and was just watching a lot of Netflix in bed. And I'm sure that this is... I can't remember, but I'm sure this is what I said in every episode of the podcast, is like, for the past 10 days, I've been super depressed, but today I feel good. So I'm recording a podcast. And that's sort of how my schedule has been going with this self-isolation thing. But anyway, today is a good day, and I just wanted to chat and say some thoughts, and I don't really know what they're going to be other than, God, I love fireplaces, and God, I love rain. And, this reminds me of a thing. This is what happens. We just start going on tangents. Tangent number 1. Let's begin. My friend came up with a game. Did he come up with it? Or did he get it from someone else? Or was it in a book? I don't know. Anyway, my friend was staying with me, and we kind of played this conceptual game, which I love, and I think is a great way to get to know new people if they are the type of people who are like, I hate small talk. And just want to go instantly deep and probably like trauma bond with you early on. It's one of those fun games for those fun types of people. It's basically, if you were a god of something, like what would you be the god of? And I think it's great to pick 2 things, one which is sort of ephemeral and one which is a physical thing. Like Dionysus is the god of like getting smashed, bro. And then also some other stuff. I think, and also probably like abortions or something. You know what I mean? Like they're these gods, you think of them as the god of one specific thing, but actually they usually have multiples, which is why I say it's cool to choose 2. You know, like a god of small temples, or a god of the river, or a god of the concept of belonging. Like those are the cool things. I don't know. Things like that are fun, and I think it's a great way to engage with new people, or people that maybe aren't super new but you don't know very well. And I asked my brother, and I'm wondering if I can remember what he said for both of them. He gave me 2, because I say that to people, give me 2. I asked my brother, and one of the things he said, he was like, I'm god of the void. And I was like, wow, are you super depressed today, or like what's going on? But it was just an interesting thing for me to hear him say that, and suddenly I felt like I knew him a bit better. I have decided that I'm god of 3 things because overachiever. And also I can't be limited by your boundaries, babe. I'm just above and beyond every time. So I decided that I'm the god of doorways, which is sort of my physical thing. And then the more ephemeral thing is the concept of hearty meals and welcome home. That's what I would be the god of. And I hope that explains to you something about who I am as a person. accommodating is a word that comes to mind. But also just that like concept of transition. I tend to take a lot of photos of windows, which is really weird. Whenever I have my camera with me and I'm out just like on an excursion when I used to vlog and I'm like, I'm going to vlog and I'm going to take photos and I'm going to put them up on my Tumblr and somehow that's going to be a thing that gets me somewhere in life. It didn't. I'm still just in my childhood bedroom. But yeah, I used to end up just taking photos of random stuff and it would always be flowers and windows. So there's something about the like doorway, window, passage through. There's something there that holds meaning for me. I don't really know what it is. But yeah, I'm the god of doorways and then hearty meals and welcome home. And I think it'd be cool to know what you are the god of. It doesn't have to be super poetic. It can be the god of like costume jewelry, you know, like random stuff, or yeah, I don't know, like boops on noses. That's a cute thing you can be a god of, or just like apples. That like whatever you want, mate. I think that's a fun little game to play with somebody. I said earlier it's something to play with people who don't like small talk. And what I've actually realized is I hate the type of people who say, I just don't really like small talk. I just like to get to know people. I'm not interested in those kind of people. Oh, sorry, I've been drinking I was about to say beer, but it's not. It's an alcoholic ginger beer. I guess that's a beer, but you know what I mean. Back to what I was saying about people who say that they hate small talk. I don't like them. I definitely used to be one. Probably like 3 days ago, I was the type of person who would have said that. I have realized while we are all in lockdown due to the stuff that's happening, he who cannot be named, due to lockdown, I've realized that I really do like small talk. I just like engaging with people on a level that isn't like, let's talk about our childhoods and like our hopes and dreams in life. Like sometimes you just want to say, it's a nice day, isn't it? Yep. Did you see that TV show last night? Yep. Just like a nice light level so you don't have to be so intense all the time. That's what I think I don't like about the type of people who say, I just don't like small talk. I'm like, I think that you're using that to not have to go to therapy, because then it's excuse to force people into really intense emotional conversations that you probably need to be having because you're not in therapy. But they don't, that's not their responsibility. So why are you forcing them into it? And then, yeah, also probably just like the type of people who trauma bond, which is where you expose a lot about the negative things that you've gone through very early on in a relationship to somebody. And then it kind of is this facsimile of intimacy. Because you've been so vulnerable with somebody so early on, your brain is like, well, I was super vulnerable with them, so we must be really close, even though you're actually not. And it's very unhealthy. And I've definitely done that multiple times. I've been like, hey, nice to get to know you. When I was a teenager, I used to play a game called Trumps. It's exactly what it sounds like. Trumps is to one-up somebody, and that's what it's about. And I used to get drunk and go to parties and be like, tell me the worst thing that's ever happened to you. And we'll say it to each other, and we promise to never repeat it to anyone else, and we'll just see whose is worse. And there was a lot of fucked up shit that happened. I remember being like 16, 17, playing this game, and I would only ever play it with total strangers I met at parties that I knew I was never going to see again, because of course I'm not going to be vulnerable with people that I'm close to and that I go to school with. That's unlikely. But people would be like, yep, my aunt is dying from cancer. Like really fucked up shit that they would tell me who was a stranger, and then I would tell them my deepest, darkest, most fucked up thing. And I just was like, and then I kind of realized through that process, I stopped it, I would say quite quickly. I didn't play it that often, like 4 or 5 times, and I was pretty drunk. And I just realized, like, how do you compare to traumatic things like that? Like, oh, I'm very sick, or like, oh, I was in a car accident, or oh, one of my parents is dying, or like something like, how is that comparable? Like, how do you play Trumps, which is the idea of we'll both say the worst thing ever and we'll see whose is worse off? Like, most times what would happen was we'd both say the horrible thing that happened to us. We would stand in silence for a few seconds. Then we would hug and be like, man, I'm so sorry. I don't know which is worse. And then just walk away from each other and keep getting drunk at a party. So that's who I was as a teenager. Yes, I'm a very intense person. Some have even called me too much. They would say, Hannah is too much. I'm not just a lot, everyone. I'm too much. But yeah, that's the type of thing that that's the person. I was that person who was like, I hate small talk. I just want to play a game called Trumps where we instantly trauma bond and I tell you the worst things that have happened to me and you tell me the worst things that have happened to you. And then kind of that I feel something because I'm terrified that you're going to tell everybody this horrible thing that I don't want everyone to know. And that makes me feel alive somehow. It's like bungee jumping, except I didn't have the money to jump out of an airplane. So you just like dump your baggage on somebody else and hope that they don't ruin your life with it. I don't know. That seems really effed up. But I miss small talk is basically the point of that. I just really miss going out and having dumb, stupid conversations with people at stupid coffee shops about like, oh, sorry, is your kid in the way? Like, oh, dog's cute. Ugh. Like stupid stuff like that forms part of the fabric of my brain. And also, not having those stupid conversations is part of why I have nothing to say today. You know what I mean? I've done nothing new. The only thing I'm an echo chamber in my own brain. And nothing new, no new concepts or topics are being introduced into this echo chamber. Therefore, I'm just regurgitating the same 4 thoughts that I've been having at the moment, I feel like I'm at the end of week 9 of self-isolation. I went into self-isolation earlier than everyone else because I got sick. I had a flu and chest pains. And that was really fun because I thought I had the problem that some people have been having. And also this week I was like coughing a lot and I was like, oh God, this is very scary and I might have the problem, but I don't. We're fine. I mean, I haven't been tested. I'm just telling myself I don't for the sake of my sanity. And just trying to step away from that like brain ledge, you know, that ledge in your brain where you're like, what? Things could be real bad, but then what? But they're not. I have been watching a lot of vampire related television programs, which I think is also a clue as to how I've been going and the topics that are on my mind. Like any supernatural related TV show or film is basically just let's just work out some things about death, right? And so obviously I've been watching a lot of that because I've been thinking a lot about that, which is not super fun for my brain. But we're in a better place today. I put makeup on, even though my skin's been real bad. I feel like I forgot how to have a skincare routine and put makeup on. I don't know what that feels like anymore because I only do my skincare routine at night when I take my makeup off. So like I'm not even moisturizing my face at night because I'm not going into the bathroom for anything in the evening other than I just like quickly brush my teeth and then I'm in bed. Like I'm not even interested in like washing my face because I haven't put makeup on. I haven't done anything all day. I haven't sweated. So why do I need to wash that about? And then I broke out, partly because of that, partly because of so much junk food. Stress eating. And then also probably hormonal. At this point, who knows what's going on with my body? We're all just very stressed. A lot of like tight chests, like high shoulders, really keeping that anxiety just in the space between, you know, the bolt that's in my throat when I can't properly swallow and just my ribs and all of the in there. That whole space is just tight and full of terror all the time is how I'm feeling. I tried to work on my personal creative projects and I could not do it. What is it about motivation, productivity? I don't know. It's just not there. It's gone. How do you make it happen? And people say it's about building habit. Tried that. I'm bad at it. People say action comes before motivation, and I 100% agree with you, but I have, what's it called when you tell your brain to do something and it doesn't? Oh, executive dysfunction. I got just a sprinkling of that. I wouldn't say that I have it all the time. It's part of ADHD, which is not something that I've necessarily been diagnosed with, but quite a few doctors have been like, you probably have that. You should talk to someone more about it to investigate. And I've been like, I'm fine. Like, I'm sweet about it. I don't need to know whether or not I have ADHD. That's just whatever. But when you read the memes, I'm always like, that's me, bro. That's 100% me. So I have executive dysfunction, which is where you're like, cool, I'm going to get up and fold my washing. Okay, no, I'm going to get up. And you're sitting there just totally still. And you're like, move your arm. You don't even have to get up and do the washing. Just move your pinky. Just do it. and your brain just doesn't. And sometimes, I'll be honest with you, sometimes that's just laziness, but sometimes genuinely I feel like catatonic almost, like trapped in my own body of, okay, move now, okay, do this thing. Something even so small and nothing happens. And I'm just incapable of stopping constantly playing Free Cell on my phone. That's what I'm doing, playing a lot of Free Cell on my phone, because I had a few other games that I was playing a lot of, but I got to the point where there were no more levels and I couldn't unlock them without paying money, and I'm not prepared to do that. So if any of you know some great mobile phone games that are kind of like puzzle games, I like a lot of Tessellation. It's why I don't like going to Subway. This is one of my top 6 thoughts that I repeat all the time, and I'll say it again. You cannot call yourself a sandwich artist if you don't know how to tessellate cheese. Don't put 3 triangles of cheese in a row with them all facing the same way like little mountain peaks. Take that middle one, baby. Flip it upside down. Tessellation. Full area coverage. No double. No space. It's perfect. And it frustrates me that when I go to Subway, it frustrates me, that they don't do the cheese correct. And then it also frustrates me that I'm the type of person that has to go, sorry, could you just flip that cheese? Just right before they put it into the toast oven. They're about to turn around. I'm like, sorry, just before you put it in the oven. And they're like, literally what? Crazy lady. And I'm like, can you just flip that middle cheese? They're like, what? I'm like, just flip it. And then they flip it. I don't know how to describe it. They flip it like upside down. So it's exactly the same orientated. Just the one that was touching the bread is now touching the air. And I'm like, no, don't flip it like that. But I have to do it because I cannot, like, I eat the bread and I'm like, I swear I can taste the double cheese. Because when you do it like 3 triangles in a row, all facing the same orientation, you get the peaks and you get the triangles at the top with no cheese and the triangles at the bottom with double cheese. And I bite it and I'm like, I can taste that there's too much cheese in this bite, even though that's so not possible, right? That's got to be me creating something in my brain. The point is, I like tessellation. I like shapes that fit together. I like puzzle games. And I like to play them while also watching something on TV because I can't obviously give my full attention to anything at once. I need to be on at least 3 devices at all times. I used to watch TV, be scrolling like Tumblr on my laptop and also be like texting on my phone. But I don't text anymore. I don't contact anybody. I've given up on that. I'm not interested in human connection anymore. It's not a part of my life. Just getting rid of that. Psh, who cares? So yeah, now I'm doing my laptop where I'm watching Netflix because obviously I'm sitting in bed. And then I'm playing a game on my phone. And then I'm also playing Animal Crossing. So the Switch has become part of that 3-device dynamic. So I've been trying to do anything. And I've done nothing useful. And then you're suddenly like, a whole nother week has gone by. And I've done nothing useful. And I don't know how to get the motivation to do stuff. Because people like, this is where I was coming from. People say action comes before motivation. I agree. It's about building a habit. It's not about waiting for inspiration to strike. I agree. These are all things that I pass on to you as information and as little like quippy lines that may help you. It doesn't work for me and I don't know what does. Although I have been watching a lot of this YouTube channel of a guy called Struthless69. Fucking love it. He's got lots of tats. He's an Aussie guy and he's, I think, around about my age. I think he must be about to turn 30 or just turned 30. He's similar, I assume, based on his face. I can't tell. And he does make a lot of videos that are about his drawing and his art style because that was his channel. But then something happened like late last year. I don't know what. He was traveling and he couldn't do those types of videos. So he just sat down and talked about his creative process. And that video hit really well. And so he's made heaps more of the same types of videos where he sits down and talks about if you struggle with creativity and how to get your motivation and how to get over perfectionism. And there's a series of maybe like 6 or 7 videos, I would say, on his channel now. And I've watched half of them at least. And every single time I watch one, I'm like, I am so inspired. I'm so inspired to do something. So you should definitely check out Struthless69. He is on Instagram as that and posts a lot of stuff on Instagram as well. Which is just like, he just makes awesome content. I think he's also making a coloring book for isolation at the moment. He drew Joe Exotic in like coloring book style, which was hilarious. And people will like genuinely do more of this. I know you did it as a joke, mate, to make fun of coloring books, but we want one. And so now he's doing that, I think. So if you need something else to do in isolation other than watch YouTube videos, then you can possibly order his coloring book. But check out his channel. It's great if you are a creative person who wants more inspiration. And I watch those videos and I think, this is what I want to be making. This is the type of YouTube video that I want to be putting out there, which is like helpful life tips in an engaging way with someone who you're like, fuck, I'd have a beer with that guy. And that's what I want to be making. But instead I sit here and I'm like, fucking cheese at Subway. They piss me off. Like spitting anger over that like plexiglass shield that they have at Subway. And I'm like, you aren't putting the ingredients on my sandwich correctly. I'm not a speak to the manager person. I promise you. I know that story about the cheese makes it sound like I am, but I have worked in retail for 8 years and half the time I don't care. I'll only ever be like, hey, can you get the manager if I know that the manager can definitely break that policy and the person I'm speaking to can't do what I want. And I'll be like, do you mind getting the manager? Like, not angry at you. It's not your fault. I just need to speak to someone who has the authority to do what I need to do right now, because I know I've been in that position. There are certain rules that can be broken, but there are certain that can't. So I'm not like, oh my God, what do you mean you can't do a refund without your original credit card? Get the manager for me. Like, that's credit card fraud. I'm not going to ask someone to do that, and I wouldn't yell at someone for that. That's not a weirdly personal story that I just went into, except it is, and it's part of why I had a breakdown and quit retail, because a woman yelled at me for 45 minutes trying to get me to commit credit card fraud, and I was like, I can't do that for you. Here are your options. And she smashed the desk and was like, don't you dare give me an ultimatum. And I was like, it's not an ultimatum, love. It's just like sometimes in life you've only got two options. This is just the way things work. People can't just break the rules for you. And then she yelled at me so much. And at the time, I had just seen a man commit suicide. So I was very emotionally fucked up. So I did start crying at the 45-minute mark after she had been yelling at me for that long. And her husband, as soon as we started the conversation, sat on the floor. So he obviously knew what was going to happen. He's obviously like, oh, this is what we do on the weekend. We go to all the shops. My wife yells at people for almost an hour. And then we get what we want and we go home. And he just sat on the floor as it started. And I was like, oh my goodness. I didn't even, when it happened, I couldn't conceptualize that. But afterwards I was like, obviously she's the type of speak to the manager woman that goes around and yells at people till she gets what she wants. And you know what? Fair play to her. She got what she wanted. She just ruined me in the process. And when I left crying, being like, she's a fucking bitch. I think I may have even screamed the C word from the back room. Someone came out and they were like, Hannah, she wants you to come out so you can apologize. And I was like, I'm not going to go out there and speak to that fucking cunt one more time. And I screamed it so she could hear me. Intentionally. And then I said to my team member, I was like, I'm really sorry that I had to scream near you for that. Like, I didn't aim it at them, but anyway, I was a good manager, I swear. I probably wasn't, I'll be honest. I don't know if that's true. If I used to be a manager, I'm so sorry. I was a psychopath back then. It happens to everyone in retail. You go in with great intentions and you just become a middle manager. That's what happens to you. But that story and the Subway story, we are not the same. You know what I mean? I'm not that woman, and I refuse to admit that I would ever be that woman. I'm just a little particular and weird sometimes. And to be honest, like, I've worked in food service, I've worked in clothing retail, I've worked in a lot of different types of customer service, over the phone, all of that stuff. And I just think if someone said to me, hey, can you flip that cheese? That would be just a blip in my day that I was like, okay, cool, whatever you want, mate. It doesn't affect me, because so many other customers so much worse and so much ruder that I know that me being like, oh, sorry, before you put it in the oven, can you flip that cheese, is kind of like a funny story for them. They'd probably be like, check out this crazy person. But at least they're not a psychopath yelling at I'm not yelling at them. I'm rationalizing it. We're doing this is girl inside. We're getting into my brain. We're getting into some therapy. We're just kind of understanding the psychosis that I live in day to day, the insane overthinking, trying to justify my own existence-ness that this is. Anyway, what was my point? I want to do stuff, but I can't. And I feel like this is why I started this podcast, because I wanted to create like a low level of effort thing that I could make and feel good about, being like, cool, I made a thing. It's also why the video version of this, there's zero editing. First episode, not even color graded. The last few, color graded, but quite half-assedly, so it looks real bad. And I just don't make it visually interesting because that's a lot of editing time that I'm like, I'm too tired always. So I apologize for that. But also, I know that when I'm watching YouTube, I'm kind of not even really watching it. I'm like cooking dinner with it on. And yes, I look at the screen every so often, but the way that, I forget who I was watching the other day. I was watching some YouTube video the other day and they kept doing that thing where the screen cuts in and then it cuts out and then it like super zooms and then they're like drinking and it just focuses in on their mouth with the straw. It wasn't Emma Chamberlain, but it was quite obviously a ripoff of the Emma Chamberlain style. And they did it. They had clearly seen those articles that were like, you need to make a cut every 7 seconds because that's when the human brain gets disinterested. And it was like every 4 seconds something was happening. And visually it was like having a seizure almost. It was way too much and I couldn't watch it. And I was like, I want to watch this video. I want to know what's going on. I want to hear what you have to say, but I can't even look at the screen. So I just opened a different tab and started fucking around on probably Twitter. Spend way too much time on Twitter. I have multiple Twitter accounts because I decided that I wanted to split my dick jokes personality away from my content creator personality, which is like all of the content I create is just dick jokes. That's what this is. So I don't really know why I did that. I did that after VidCon last year when I was like embarrassed by my online presence and didn't want to share that with people I was meeting in a professional context. Because I went to VidCon for my job last year. I've been previously for myself, but last year I went for my job and I was like, oh my God, I've got to be a professional. And halfway through VidCon, I was like, I got to create a second, account. So yeah, I spent a lot of time on Twitter trying to curate like 2 different versions of my personality, which also probably is part of why I'm doing so much like weird introspection about who I am and where I fit in society and how people perceive me and like, do my friends actually like me? Because as soon as you get to the point of thinking about how do other people perceive me, the next logical step is, does everyone hate me or are they just pretending to be friends with me because they want to get something out of me? Especially when so much of who you are, quote unquote, is curated and it's like, oh, my personal brand. It's like, then you aren't a person anymore. If you create a personal brand that is just you, which is the easiest version of a personal brand, because then you don't have to hide anything or remember not to talk about certain stuff and that's what I do. I'm like, I'll just talk about all my stuff. I'll just say everything because it doesn't matter to me and it's easier and I'm too lazy to like lie or take something out. And when you do that, then you're not a person anymore. You're just a brand. And so yes, I've split my personal brand, quote unquote, into 2 Twitter accounts. But it's like it covers all of me. So it's not like I'm leaving anything out. I'm just choosing, and it's not like I'm not saying anything on the internet. I'm just choosing where I say it on the internet. Is it the one with my name attached to it, or is it the one with just my face attached to it? And you can definitely tell they're the same person. I don't know why I have 2 accounts. People still are going to Google me and find the one where I make dick jokes and maybe not hire me for a job because of it. I don't know. Mind you, I've been getting a lot of work lately, so I don't know how much you guys know about me. I might have said it in one of the first episodes, but who cares? I'll say it again. I'm a script editor and story development professional. How do you say it? Like, I'm not a story developer. That's a weird thing, but I basically work with people who write films and TV shows to make them better, and I've been getting quite a bit of work because everyone is in quarantine being like, guess I better write my film. Well, I've been getting a lot of interest from people. And some of it has turned into work and some of it I've been like, I can't help you. I'm not the person to help you. And I think that that's the right choice to make sometimes. Like, I want to make the money. Of course I do. Of course I want to make more money. But if I'm not the right person to help that story be the best version of itself that it can be, then I'm going to pass that along and be like, thank you, but you know what's best for you in that story and whatever you're trying to get out into the world. It's not me. But I mean, that makes me feel productive and is productive because it's work and get paid for it. And I feel creative, but I don't have to do it myself because I can't get the motivation to do creative projects. And I have about 4 on the go right now and I've worked on 0 of them. So if any of you guys have any tips other than the Struthless videos that I mentioned to you, go check him out. And if you guys have got any other tips that work for somebody like me who might have ADHD, I don't know, listen to the previous 27 minutes of this podcast and tell me whether or not I have ADHD. I don't care. it's not relevant to me. I'm not going to medicate it, so it doesn't. It's the only reason to get a diagnosis. When people are like, but have you been diagnosed with depression, or are you just like self-diagnosing? It's like, they're both just as valid, because the only reason that you would ever get diagnosed, quote unquote, with depression is to get medicated, and you don't get a certificate. You don't get like an official I'm depressed like slip from the doctor. They just go, we think you might have this. Let's give you this med or this treatment or this whatever. And if that works, then great, because it doesn't actually matter what you've got, right? So the diagnosis becomes irrelevant to me in my life. I don't think that it's that important. For some people, it is very important to put a name to something they've been struggling with for a long time. But for me, it doesn't affect me that negatively. So I don't care. It's probably a good place to end it, I reckon. I've been rambling for a long time, just rolling along. There's literally no way for me to know how long this has been going on for, because my camera stopped halfway through and that's my timer. I should set a timer on my phone, but I can't be bothered. Also, I got a new phone. I was online last night and some negative thing happens. Some negative things happened, which was I spent lots of money on lots of things. I went to Officeworks. I went to Sports Girl. I went to, where else did I go? Oh, Optus. I got a new phone. But like the way that the plans worked, Optus updates their plans so often that like 3 months into a plan that you have, you should go back and check a plan, because you'll get more data for the same amount you're paying. I was paying so much money. I was paying like $90 a month for like 12 gigs of data for like 4 years, and not realizing that over the 4 years they had updated the plan so many times that was so out of date and such an insane amount of money to be spending. So I have noticed this now, and I got a new plan a few months ago and then just went online and was like, let me see if what I'm paying right now for just my phone plan, I can get the same amount of data and a phone handset fee. And I could, and I did. So I'm getting a new phone. Get ready for selfies galore on all of my social medias. Well, I don't know which ones I'm engaging with at the moment, and I don't know which ones I want to tell you to go to. Am I going to tell you to go to the ones where I make dick jokes? Or am I going to tell you to go to the ones where I'm like a professional script editor and developer? I don't know. Should I start an ASMR channel? Do I have the voice for that? I'm not sure. I feel like there's too much wetness in my mouth for this to be calming or relaxing to anybody. I don't know who would enjoy it. Anyway, that's, sorry, I probably shouldn't have said anyway so loudly. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm going to be done because I don't know how long we've been going for. Half an hour, 45 minutes. Me rambling. I just need human interaction. I know I said I'm done with it and I've cut it out of my life, but it's just because, you know, when something hurts you, when you get hurt by someone, you're like, get away. It's like I feel hurt by a human interaction not being good right now. So I'm just like, I don't need it. Ugh, but I do. Secretly, I do. So I don't know how these are going to go moving forward. This is actually something I wanted to say. I don't know how these are going to go moving forward, because at a certain point, like I said, I'm just in an echo chamber of my own brain. So I don't have any new things to think about or talk about. The only news that I'm hearing is like the stuff that's going on in the world. And I don't really want to talk about that for my mental health or for yours. So if I'm not sitting here talking about like, we're all trapped inside blah, because of the thing, blah, like, I don't know what to say. So if you've got any topics, comments, questions, do you need advice? Please engage with me. Dear God, please engage with me. If you've ever cared about me, even one iota, just please comment or something, because I sort of do this for myself. Feels good, but also feels real bad to put it out there and have like nobody comment. I don't know. It's like saying hi to someone in the street and they just ignore you. That's what it feels like, is me being like, hey, everyone, here's what's going on in my life and some of my thoughts. And then all your friends watch it and then just go, yep. Not even yep, but just like a nod, like, mm-hmm. And then just continue on. That's why I hate social media. Okay, the next episode is going to be me just yelling about how much I hate social media. But I'll definitely engage with it because we have to make online content. Does anyone want to totally for free just be my social media manager? Because I just can't be bothered. I just absolutely can't be bothered. Anyway, that's it. You're a babe. Stay a babe. I hope that you're getting through this time as well as you can with whoever you are stuck with. Because at this point, we're not choosing them anymore. We are stuck with them. And, be safe and be smart with the choices that you're making at the moment, both in terms of moving around the world and also just in terms of for your mental health and what you are engaging with and what you're doing. And I'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.